So in immunopharmacology, you can either suppress the immune system or modulate the immune system, kind of enhance it, make it very focused on certain things. Immunosuppression is really important in people that have autoimmune disease, also some cancers, while your modulation is important in a lot of your cancers, hepatitis, and of course, cancer treatments like myelosuppression or side effects. The immune system, you got a bunch of different tissues like bone marrow, your tonsils, your lymph nodes, your spleen. Also a bunch of specific cells like macrophages, lymphocytes, neutrophils. Your macrophages, these are antigen-presenting cells, or APCs. They go around eating up any foreign matter or particles or even dead cells, and they eat this stuff up and they find antigens, and then they go and they present those to T helper cells. And T helper cells are like, yep, that's a bad guy. I'm going to go tell the B cells and the killer T cells, or the cytotoxic T cells, that we need to get rid of this individual because it shouldn't be in here. So then your cytotoxics go off and kill these cells. They use this stuff called perforins. They are proteins. So when the T cell hooks up, it releases these perforins that go ahead and poke big holes in the cell, changes the cell membrane, and pretty much kills that cell. They also use granzymes, which are in these little granules that go off and eat lots of different, so they have a bunch of lipases and proteases in there that destroy those invading cells. Regulatory T cells are another type of T cell. These help turn off the immune system, so they're really important in modulating how intense the immune response is. And then in B cells, two major classes, your plasma Bs. These are the B cells that are going to be releasing your antibodies, and then your memory B cells are the ones that store that memory. So when you get like vaccines and stuff, you build up these memory cells against those antigens. And then when you get reinfected with it, you already have them there, shoot them out real quick, and it breaks it down before you get infected enough to make you sick. You also have naive B cells. That's B cells that haven't come into contact with any antigens that the T helper will go and activate. And so if you look at it, you have your macrophage going around being an APC and eating just about everything. Your T helpers recognizing these antigens and then turning on B cells or T cells and bringing other white blood cells to the area. And so interleukin 1 and other cytokines, interleukin 2. So 1 works on your cytotoxic Ts, 2 works on your Bs, and then you have other cytokines that just kind of like bring other white blood cells to that area to help kill whatever the pathogen is. And here you can see kind of how this cycle all works with your macrophages eating viral antigens, presenting them to your T helpers, which are then going to activate your B cells, which then can make antibodies. Also your killer Ts, which can go ahead and kill whatever it is, the virus or the bacteria. Your regulatory here telling them, okay, that's enough. We've done enough damage. There's no more enemy. It's cool. Relax, right? And then your memory Bs waiting to release those antibodies if they come into contact with that antigen again. All right. For our immunosuppressive drugs, corticosteroids, huge. If you remember, what they do is they stop inflammation, so that non-standard immune response, because they make it where you can't make arachidonic acid, which means you can't make your leukotrienes or anything made by the COX enzymes 1 or 2. Your corticosteroids also cause your lymphocytes in the blood to be redistributed back into the bone marrow. And so kind of a side effect of taking corticosteroids is you can get severe infections. And that's because you have decreased white blood cell counts in the blood. They're back in the bone marrow. Corticosteroids, again, really good if you have severe allergic reactions or to control the inflammatory response, like if you have like a torn rotator cuff muscle or something like that, you can get a quart shot in there to kind of make it all chill out. But it can also be used to prevent transplant rejection. And that's something you're going to see a lot with your immunosuppressives, is we don't want to reject the transplant for whatever it is. If it's a skin graft or a new liver, right? Take your quarts to bring down those white blood cells. Azathioprine inhibits the synthesis of purines. Might sound pretty similar to what we saw with our anti-cancer drugs, right? So you're going to stop making DNA. That's going to suppress your B's and T's and stop you from making new B's and T's. Again, this is used to prevent transplant rejection, usually with corticosteroids. And so you're having a multi-pronged attack to stop the body from rejecting the transplanted organ. It's also used to control immune-based diseases like lupus. Here you can see an example of lupus, also rheumatoid arthritis. Some other drugs, cyclophosphamide. Again, this is pretty similar to azathioprine, killing off the lymphocytes, used in bone marrow transplants and various autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis. Cyclosporin, this one's really cool. It's actually from fungus, and it suppresses T cell function and interleukin-2 production. Again, used to prevent transplant rejection. Tacrolimus, macrolide antibiotic, similar mechanism of action to cyclosporin, but more potent and also more toxic. And so this one is only used if cyclosporin is not being effective. Our next one, leflunomide, inhibits pyrimidines. Again, just like the purines, affecting both your B's and your T's. This one's indicated for rheumatoid arthritis. Infliximab, or Remicade. This is a monoclonal antibody, inhibits the tumor necrosis factor, TNF-alpha. This is really important in inflammation and immune activation, which we're really not going to get into, but infliximab is good for Crohn's disease. Xenopax, monoclonal antibody, also this one blocks interleukin-2, indicated to prevent renal allograft rejections. So a lot of these are used to stop organ transplant rejection and also autoimmune diseases. And here you can see a nice big list. Ones that are cytotoxic, like ones used to treat cancers, right? And then your non-cytotoxics, and then your monoclonals. For immunomodulators, there's a lot less of these than there are the suppressants. Indicated for cancers, AIDS, and other immune deficiencies. Your interferons, you naturally produce interferons. They're made by the lymphocytes. 3 major classes of alpha, beta, gamma. When you get interferon injections, you're going to have symptoms or side effects that are similar to the flu. So malaise, muscle weakness, fevers, chills, that kind of stuff. Interleukin-2, or Proleukin, is the trade name for it. It's a lymphokine, stimulates B's and T cells, and again, similar side effects to the flu. And then colony stimulating factors, these are going to stimulate your macrophages and your granulocyte formation. So you're going to make neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils. Indicated for myelosuppression after chemotherapy or bone marrow transplant. Pretty similar to the above, fevers, chills, muscle, and bone pain added into that group. And so here you can see the interferons and their trade names, what they're used for: multiple sclerosis with Avonex, beta-seron, HPV for your interferon alpha N3, and then colony-stimulating factors and your interleukins. And that is it for pharmacology.